Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about the power of your mind, like literally the power of your brain. I think that a lot of us can kind of be mystified by our transformations that happen when we start practicing manifestation and shifting our thoughts and our mindsets. It can feel like magic when things all of a sudden just transform before our very eyes, but I have been hyper observant in my life, and I have noticed something really interesting, as well as listening to others talk about the power of the brain. And I've done a video on this, and I'm doing another one because it's just still so cool to me, and maybe I have a new way of explaining things. Like I'm sure I said in that video, I don't remember any of the scientific terms or processes. I'm just going to explain what I took away from it and my understanding of it, and then what I've been experiencing myself. So when it comes to physical transformations, when we're manifesting like physical transformation, physical changes in maybe your weight or your muscle or your skin or your hair, whatever it is, your health overall, your joints, it can seem, it can be hard to grasp how exactly you are manifesting something like that. I think it can seem like if I'm manifesting a car, it's like, oh, well, it just kind of showed up. You're not with that car every day and then watching it somehow come into your life, because it would have already been in your life, but you're with yourself every day. You're with yourself every second of every day. And so it can just be like, well, how did this just come to be, so here are my thoughts. Basically, what we know is that your brain's actual power operates on a greater scale and perspective and understanding than your conscious mind can even comprehend. And that everything that you perceive through your 5 standard senses is only a fraction of what your brain is actually receiving, and your brain decides what it's going to give you, because it would like melt your consciousness to receive all the input at any given time. So this is where like the phenomena comes where you start thinking about yellow cars and you start seeing yellow cars everywhere. It is not that those yellow cars didn't exist around you before it was just that you weren't thinking of it. And oh my goodness, rest in peace to my old car. But I mean, I love my new car, don't get me wrong, but one thing that I really liked and enjoyed about my old car was the outer body style of it, and it just made me so happy to even just look out my window and see it. And I don't get to do that anymore. I can Google pictures of it, I can see it out and about, but I realized like I hadn't seen one in a while, and I was like, what's up with that? I haven't noticed one. And so I just started thinking about it, and I was like, oh, I'm sure I'll see them around, right? So then, like, I don't know how much time goes by because I wasn't keeping track, but I come out of the grocery store one day and there's one like right there in the front row, and it took me a minute to realize that I should not try and get in that car because it wasn't mine. Like, I had to remember that I don't have that car anymore because it looked just like the one that I had. And I get in my actual car and I drive away, and like I get to the next intersection and there's one right there that drives by me, and then I take like the next turn that I need to turn and there's one right there like making a turn, and I was like 3 in a row, same color, same everything as the one I had. And if I wasn't asking my brain to show me that, I wouldn't have seen it, is the point. So now when it comes to the physical transformations, I haven't recorded a video in a while, and I mean I did, but like not really. I don't know, it still feels like it's been a while, and I'm trying to keep my train of thought as best I can. So I made a sticky note. Okay, so back to the physical transformations. Your brain already knows what it is that you need to do to have whatever the thing is that you want. You want healthier skin? It already knows what your body needs. It's your whole like computer processor. It understands what is lacking in your body. And this can be challenging to accept because who hasn't had like surprise health issues and been like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do about this? And it could be challenging to accept the fact that your brain knew that that was existing, and for whatever reason you were not becoming conscious of it. So I totally understand that as someone who has had a lot of that myself. And I just want you guys to take a look at my eyebrows right now, because this is like the first time that I haven't filled them in since before I had my health issues that caused me to have much thinner volume of hair, and it affected my eyebrows too. And I've just been in this like mindset of like, well, these are my eyebrows now, you know. I don't know what it is about getting older where you're like, this is just who I am. I'm just old now, and you know, our body breaks down. And I've heard a lot of people talking about that, like, if we don't believe that we age, would we really not age? And I find that fascinating. I don't know if I could fully wrap my mind around embodying that or not in this lifetime, but I'm gonna see what I can do. So anyway, long story short with the eyebrows is that the second that I stopped repeating the story every time I filled them in of, ugh, my eyebrows are so thin, what the hell? And I started just being like, you know what, they don't look so bad, it's fine, you know, and started appreciating the way that I looked. All of a sudden I found this product. It's the Ordinary brow serum, brow and lash serum, by the way. It works wonders. And I'm super sensitive and like haven't had any issues with it, so highly recommend. But even with my skin issues, I think that's what I was talking about in my last video, was like, you know, the things that I've been going through on my health journey and the challenges I've been facing, the mindset that I was having around myself and kind of holding my own health and self-worth hostage based on what my appearance was like, and, you know, saying, well, I'll be happy with myself when this is gone, or when I no longer am suffering from this, you know, I'll love myself again. And the second that I switched that mindset and started loving myself the way that I was, all of a sudden I was finding the empty vitamins in my cabinet that I clearly hadn't been taking for a month or two. And that was the reason that I was experiencing, you know, a relapse of symptoms or whatever it was. But like, my brain knew that that empty vitamin was there. It knew I should have been taking that every day, but it wasn't until I brought myself into a state of aligning with that I was able to see it. And so, you know, I understand that this could be difficult to reconcile within the self. You know, I've been doing a lot of work, and so I have a lot of grace and understanding and forgiveness for myself. It doesn't bother me. I'm very at peace with this whole thing. But I can understand that this could be a tricky topic for some. So I'm going to go back to a more silly thing, which is really fascinating, again, with this whole input of like just what your brain understands. And okay, let me give you this example before I go into this little tangent that I want to go into. So I walk into a grocery store, and all day I had been thinking about this one thing. And I walk into the grocery store and I'm like really drawn to the juice section for some reason. I don't buy juice. I just don't. I don't. Very, very rarely am I buying juice, and not the like big jugs. It was strange. It was strange. So I walk over and I'm kind of trying to take control of the situation by looking in this section, because I'm like, what is it that I'm supposed to be seeing? You know, like I'm very in tune with myself to the degree that I understand that something isn't intuitively leading me to this section, but now I am exerting my like ego and expertise thinking it must be over here somewhere in these like healthy fresh pressed juices, and I'm wasting like all this time. I'm not really wasting it, but I'm spending all this time looking these things up and down, right? Because no way is there anything over there that I need to be looking at. There's nothing that's really resonating. So I take a step back. I'm just kind of zoning out, and the second that I relax, all of a sudden I see it. There's this whole row of juice. It's a brand that I've never seen before because I don't buy juice, and the name stood out to me immediately, and it directly correlated with what I had been thinking about all day. And I was like, oh, this makes sense. No, I didn't need the juice, but my brain was like, see, I listened to you. You wanted to see that thing, and here it is. And I was like, well, that's not the thing. That's a juice label. It's just a word. But Nice try. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you. Now, the interesting thing that I wanted to get into with this was when I walked into the grocery store, I do have really good eyesight, but obviously I didn't see that from all the, maybe? I don't think that my eyes perceived it and processed it through my brain. So my theory is that, I'm going to go too deep into this. Okay, I'm not going to. Maybe it is. Maybe I don't understand how our eyes work as much as I could. But I thought that perhaps the more reasonable explanation, which kind of sounds also very crazy to me, is that the energetic coding of the entire grocery store was processed by my brain, because it's basically a supercomputer. And it read it that way and knew to direct me that way. See, I didn't get lost in that. Proud of myself. Proud of myself. So then on my sticky note here, one of the other things that I wanted to share with you that's exciting, because this is some personal progress here for those of you that follow my channel and know that I was in a car accident a few months ago. I had just moved to an apartment that was next to this trail that I just love. And I was so excited because I didn't actually know that. I didn't know that when I picked out the apartment, and that was a whole separate video, but it was exactly what I wanted and didn't even know that it was that perfect at the time that I signed for it. So excited to be able to walk this trail, and then I get in the car accident and I can't walk the trail anymore. I mean, I could walk, but like I just couldn't exercise like that anymore. I didn't have the energy or the time really. And I've felt sad about it because it's affected my dog, the fact that I, have been going through this healing process. And I mean, he's perfectly happy, thankfully, but I've been really wanting to get back out there, not just for me, but for my dog. And like, I've been feeling guilty. And so I finally stopped repeating that story of guilt and started noticing how much I walk around when I'm at work, and that I am capable. And, like, it's so weird to try and put on the state of having a healthy body when you really don't feel it, but you have to like ignore the symptoms. Like, I always joke, anytime I'm like walking upstairs and my knees start to hurt, I just like sarcastically out loud say like, I move with ease through life, because that's what Louise Hay teaches, that you're supposed to affirm for it. But like Neville Goddard, says you got to take on the state of what you want to be, and you've got to ignore all the unwanted surroundings and everything that you're experiencing. You literally have to ignore your senses. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And so I've started just feeling what it would feel like to take that walk again, and then being okay with maybe not getting to do my full routine right away, and just being okay with the fact that like I am where I am right now. And all of a sudden I had the inspiration when I was taking my dog out when I got home from work, that maybe we could do a short loop just around the neighborhood. And that turned into once a day, and I was like, hey, I can handle this. And then that turned into once when I got home, and then once after I give him his dinner. And that turned into, I went on the full walk on the trail today, and it was like, I barely made it through the end, like, all right. But how exciting is that? Like, my body or my brain already knew exactly what I was going to need, because I don't think I could have just jumped into it, right? Like, I'm sitting on my couch upset that I can't walk on this trail, but I have to get back into the physical routine, and I am going to physical therapy, and that's helping too. But my brain was like, oh, we're just going to give her the inspiration while she's, taking the dog out to just walk a little loop. And then that loop became a bigger loop. And then that loop became twice a day instead of once a day. And then I think I actually like walked the loop twice one time with him. And then today we did the whole trail, which is like miles. And it was great. Oh man, I just checked my sticky note and there's other things I want to talk about, but I really don't want this video to be too much longer. I want to reset and then I'll make it about a different topic, because I just have so much to talk about that I can make several videos. So that is what is going to happen, and I am going to leave this one here. But that is kind of the mystique of the physical things, is that when you accept where you're at and focus on where you would like to be, and you stop repeating the unwanted story, and you give your brain the chance to take over because you've let go of control, it's going to naturally, intuitively guide you into whatever it is to get you to where you're trying to be. I had one last example though that is really good for this video. So this has happened to me twice now, where like I work in an environment where there's just like so many germs, and they don't bother me. They don't bother me at all, because germs are just a part of life. But you know that I've been working on things with my health a lot, and so my immune system is something that I'm really nurturing right now, and it's like a battle zone out there, and I'm trying to make it a productive experience. So one of the viruses that I really dislike catching was going around, and I felt like I was starting to get it, and I said, no, like I'm not going to get sick, because I was like, oh, if I get sick, then I could take time off. And I was like, no, I don't want time off. Like I don't really want time off because I don't want to spend it sick. What I want is to feel rested, and I want to feel good. And my like ego brain was like, oh, but like if you get this thing, then you will have to take time off. But I don't want to spend time off feeling gross. I want to be able to rest. And so I just focused on aligning with that and then let it go. And all of a sudden I felt like I should fast for a certain period of time. I think it was like part of a day or most of a day, and then slowly incorporate very specific foods. Like the first 2 days was like beets and watermelon, and goat cheese then got added in, and then little by little more was getting added in over the days. And during this, I didn't feel hungry. Like I just felt that I was honoring my body so intensely that I didn't have cravings for anything other than just taking care of myself, because I was really focused on that. And I ended up, it was like this detox week that my brain just took over and was like, nope, you're only going to want to eat these things that are really good for you. Like I didn't have an appetite for anything else. I wouldn't have been able to stomach it. And it just took over, and it gave me this detox just intuitively, that this is what your body needs. Because then I looked up, okay, like what are beets good for? And I was like, oh yeah, like that explains, I've been wanting to support that in my body, knowing that it needs that. And look, your brain just knows what's up, and that's kind of intimidating, because it's like we don't really give it the opportunity, maybe as much as we could, to help us take care of ourselves better, because we think that we can control everything and we know everything, and we just get really stuck. And I could go on about that forever, but yeah, those are my examples, and now I'm very excited to be back into recording. And so I'm excited to go and do these other videos. So I don't even know what I was going to say to wrap up. And this video is still 20 minutes long. It's fine. Thanks for tuning in. Can't wait to hear what you guys are up to. I feel like everyone's been quiet all summer, myself included. But whenever you're seeing this, I do still love to hear how your life is going and what's going on for you, and that you're doing all right. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.